All right, this is gonna be more of an unstructured video because I'm working on 3 videos that are half an hour long, and Kevin and Kelvin just found out about Skiddaby Toilet, so I've been trying to console them. So until those 2 things are done, let me tell you a story about when Jared Leto turned into a vampire. So I normally have a cute little history lesson setting up the lore of today's video, but it's Morbius and I need a video out. So just close your eyes and bring yourself back to the magical year of 2022. There is not a lot of movies catching your attention out there. Also open your eyes again. I'm putting way too much work into the visuals here. Anyways, there's one movie that's kind of gone to the wayside with its marketing, and that's the upcoming film Morbius, starring the man behind one of the Jokers of all time, Jared Leto. Now, if I remember correctly, the movie had maybe like 1 trailer, 1 poster, and that was all the marketing. It's been a while since I've seen a movie like so destined to bomb. Like it was like Arctic Dogs, and they were quietly trying to push it out, trying to get the Marvel, Sony fans involved, but I don't think they realized how insane it was gonna get, because the internet did what it does best and shit posted it to the top. And how did they shit post it? Obviously with the beautiful hashtag we all know in our hearts. Say it with me, hashtag Morbius sweep. The way they did this is they started making GIFs from the Morbius trailer, and they created the character of a guy who was super hyped to see Morbius and so pissed that no one else was. Like my favorite one right here. What do you mean you're not excited for Morbius? Hashtag Leto sweep, hashtag Morbius sweep. This was the first GIF I saw and I was immediately enamored. And from those first few GIFs, it immediately disintegrated. We immediately elevated to when you smell fries in the vicinity, hashtag Morbius sweep, hashtag get them fries. Mind you, fries are never brought up in the movie at all. People were already predicting that this was going to be the first movie to get a 203% on Rotten Tomatoes, sending out the call, rise up Morb Nation. That's me posting this video, by the way. I loved this one. This is a very rare Morbius GIF. When I come out, can you introduce me as Morbius? Hashtag Morbius, hashtag Majesty of Cinema. And if that wasn't good enough, people quickly found out that there was a Morbius Discord server, which I shit you not, I think the day after announcing it, immediately got overrun with people shit posting. I remember joining this Discord server and having the time of my entire life. And one of my favorite pieces of information about it that I don't see many people talking about is that there was supposed to be a Q&A with Jared Leto himself, but it just never happened. Then the Discord server got infected with Morb heads, so they probably discontinued the Q&A, because I can't imagine the questions were going to be very informative because the server was a mosh pit. We were all saying Morbius sweep. We were all saying it was going to make $1 trillion at the box office. We were all posting the GIFs. We were all talking about how it was going to change cinema. It was like magic. I distinctly remember this one guy named Morbius Gaming who posted at least 10 times a day, Morbius Gaming. There's at least 300 pages of In fact, there was a premiere specifically for the Morbius Discord fans in Los Angeles that Jared Leto himself showed up to, which gave me 2 of the funniest photos I've ever seen in my entire life. I have never seen this man more concerned ever. Editing Tony here, forget what I just said. The Morbius VTuber interview is probably the most scared he's ever been in his entire life, and I love it.
Thank you! 私の髪の毛と尻尾はとっても自慢の髪の毛と尻尾なんです。ありがとうございます。
Yeah, it really such a unique little character.
Anyways, the Morbius server was a goldmine and proved that hashtag Morbius sweep could actually become a feasible thing because of how seriously we were all taking it. So captivated by all the hype and the chance to witness a new era of cinema, I had the bright idea to see Morbius an opening day in IMAX, which, and I can't believe this is real, was on April Fool's Day. It's like they knew.
I'm gonna go see Morbius.
So I dragged along my then roommate John to learn if I had hyped this movie past the point of my ironic enjoyment or if it was the next Fateful Findings. For reference, Fateful Findings is a movie where Neil Breen gets into a fatal car crash 7 minutes into the movie and then he's completely fine 5 minutes later. It's my favorite movie ever. I've seen it 50 times. So we made the roughly half-hour drive to the tallest IMAX theater in the world to spend an hour and 40 minutes in paradise.
Woo! We're seeing Morbius. You excited, John? Yeah.
Watching Morbius opening day in this giant IMAX theater was like a warm hug from someone who was really damp. One of my favorite pieces of information about my viewing is that when we got into the theater, there were about like 30 to 40 people in the theater, like spread around the entire seating area. And to illustrate how crazy that is, I saw the Batman like a month after it came out in the same theater and it was packed. So that's a great sign. Now, until this video won my community poll on what to cover, I have not seen this movie since April 1st, 2022. Because there's the saying that true Morb heads have either never seen the movie or they saw it on opening day and never again. I haven't seen any content related to Morbius in like 7 months, so I've just had this idea of it bubbling in my head as I've debated on making this video for this entire year. And I'm worried, is it going to be as funny as I remember? Is it going to be even more mid than I remember? Have they made any changes to the streaming cut because it's on Netflix now where it belongs? I don't know. So to get out of my head, I rewatched this movie for the first time ever for this video with my friend Casey, and she has never seen Morbius before in her life.
Morbius. Morbius.
Morbius, yeah! Yeah!
So I got to experience the pure joy with someone seeing Morbius for the first time, and oh my god, it's more insane than I remembered. But you want to know what's even more insane than that? Ever since my chair son Kevin has met his new cousin Kelvin, I've realized that my computer has been infected with a bunch of viruses. This is because Kelvin loves infecting computers with malware and going to shady websites that track his data because he thinks the internet is one big game of hide and seek. But luckily for me, I can break this bad habit with today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN stops ads and malware from affecting your device. They do this by blocking all the malicious links, ads, and trackers that you might run into while you're browsing the internet. Atlas VPN also notifies you when someone is trying to steal your data, so you can stop little rascals like Kelvin from destroying your device while trying to get
free Wi-Fi anywhere you go.
Hold up. If you're also trying to browse without big internet tracking every single thing you do, Atlas VPN allows you to Google without having your activity tracked. But maybe you don't have a 2-month-old share, nephew, cousin, son that's hellbent on destroying every device he sees. Maybe you just want to get around content filters on places like Netflix. Like Kevin just learned about how Brooklyn Nine-Nine was blocked on Netflix in America, so he started spinning until I changed my VPN to be located in London, England, and now he's as happy as a clam. Isn't that right, Kevin?
I am now a British chair. Oi oi, I'm Cherry Styles.
That's right, you are. Atlas VPN also protects unlimited devices under one subscription, so if you need to protect your computer, phone, tablet, or anything that this force of nature can touch, Atlas has your back. And if you've been debating on getting a VPN but haven't had a reason to, you can protect your privacy and get many benefits of Atlas VPN for a ridiculously low price because Atlas is offering the best summer deal on the market with Atlas VPN Premium going for only $1.83 per month plus 3 months extra and a 30-day money-back guarantee if you go to my code get.atlasvpn.com/Syonide. There will be a link at the top of the video description and also in the pinned comment, but be quick as this is a limited time offer. That's at get.atlasvpn.com/Syonide, so get it there. Thanks so much to Atlas VPN for sponsoring this video and also being the first ever Syonide sponsor. I can't believe that's a real sentence I said. And now back to Morbius. So the movie starts off in Costa Rica where Morbius himself cuts his own hand to get like 1,000 vampire bats to join him. Anyways, he somehow gets them through US customs. And then there's a time jump backwards to where we're introduced to Lucian, Michael Morbius's best friend who has the same rare blood disease as him. Oh yeah, Morbius has a blood disease, and this blood disease is not really explained. It's basically like someone went into their genetic code and deleted a lot of things. Anyways, Milo immediately renames Lucian to Milo and Milo almost dies. Morbius and Milo are immediate friends, but Morbius gets sent off to like some school in New York, I think. I don't really remember or care. And Morbius leaves Milo a goodbye letter on an origami bat that flies out the window, leading to the children outside to bully Milo immediately.
This goes from 0 to 100 immediately. Kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah, in this scene, Milo bitch slaps the one bully with his cane, and the bullies all proceed to beat the shit out of him mercilessly. It's amazing. And then the guy, I think his name is Nicholas, comes and breaks up the fight by yelling at these kids. It's amazing.
I'll look after Milo. He needs me.
This is doing a shit job of looking after him.
Anyways, 25 years later or something, Morbius wins a Nobel Peace Prize for his work with this thing he made called artificial blood, which is a blood that's blue, so it tastes like blue raspberry. And I distinctly remember the theatrical cut, including an extended scene of Morbius denouncing and declining the award and making fun of the King of Sweden. They cut that out for streaming services, which made me look like an idiot to Casey because I was hyping it up. Anyways, we see that grown-up Morbius has become a doctor who is helping people with his rare blood condition, specifically this little girl that probably has a name, but she shows up in only this scene, so I haven't bothered to learn it, and the world is going to continue moving forward the exact same. Anyways, the only important thing you get out of this scene is that you see this third nurse who gives Morbius 100 grams of some chemical, which Morbius uses to put a little girl into a coma. And after this, she's never heard from again. We just had to see him put her in a coma. Anyways, back to the plot. For his entire life, Morbius has been trying to find a cure for his rare blood disease and nothing has worked. So we learned Morbius has been doing animal testing, which is probably illegal. And he has infected this mouse with like vampire venom or something. But the mouse dies and then comes back to life and now thirsts for blood. So Morbius is like, yo, I'm gonna become a vampire. It kind of happens immediately. Morbius tells Milo the good news, which has the funniest line ever that made me and Casey die laughing.
Casey, what's so funny? Casey, what's so funny? Casey, is it the fact that he says he's gonna come or whatever?
I'm close, Milo.
Wasn't
cut to that.
I'm close, Milo.
So Michael Morbius, Martine, and like 8 unnamed mercenaries with guns go on a boat in international waters to do the shift because it's probably illegal.
Just to explain what's happening here, he is quite literally hacking DNA. I'm not exaggerating, with computer code, hacking DNA.
Test 243, human trials.
Morbius!
And Martine injects him with the serum, and Morbius is absolutely loving it. So Martine locks him down because they don't know what he can do on the vaccine, and unnamed mercenary 1 comes in to vaguely sexually harass Martine and look at Morbius. However, when we cut to Morbius, he's gone.
Where'd he go?
He's gone. Michael Morbius.
So to summarize this scene, Morbius has gone full vampire and is absolutely feral.
Where is he?
Don't move.
Yeah, so Morbius attacks the guy.
Three of the other mercenaries come in. One pushes Martine towards the equipment. She bashes her head against it. She's not dead. Sorry for the spoiler.
How did he get knocked out by fucking one throw? Because she's awesome.
So Morbius, seeing not dead Martine, goes on a killing spree, killing about 8 people. And I want you to keep that in mind. He kills 8 people. Yes, he's not in control here. He doesn't know how to control it, but he still kills 8 people. And I want you to keep this in mind because they want you to forget. They being the director, the writer, Jared Leto, and the liberals. Anyways, after Morbius comes back to his senses.
Why did they have to add a smoldering body scene?
He's so hot.
Why does he look like fucking... He looks like voice critical.
So Morbius goes to call a distress signal and then immediately swims 13 nautical miles back to Long Island. But thank God for that because we get a scene where we get introduced to the 2 worst characters in the entire film. And I don't know their names, so we're just gonna call them the detectives. The one tries to be comic relief and literally nothing lands. And the other, who is Roman Pierce from the Fast and Furious saga, is dead serious the entire time and does not play off well. But forget about that. That doesn't matter for now. These characters suck. Anyways, skipping around a bit, Morbius tests his new vampire powers, learning he can last for 6 hours on blue blood before he needs another hit. And when he drinks it like a Capri Sun. It's beautiful. And we get like one of the only cool things in this entire movie, the echolocation. It actually looks really cool, especially when it's utilized later in the movie. And despite how bad some of the effects look, there are some that are actually really great. Like the scene on the boat where Morbius is coming back to his senses. Morbius sees his hand shift from disgusting vampire back to disgusting Jared Leto, and it's flawless and genuinely impresses the hell out of me. Anyways, back to summarizing the definition of mid. Milo storms in and begs Morbius to cure him, but Morbius is like, no, I'm a monster. You don't want this. And Milo's like, oh, come on, please. And Morbius yells at him with evil vampire face that looks like shit.
So Casey, is this the best movie you've ever seen?
No.
By the way, I haven't really mentioned much about Milo because there isn't much to mention. He's severely underwritten. We know he is Morbius's childhood friend. He somehow willingly keeps the morbid nickname Milo Morbius gave him, which was given to God knows how many dead children. He somehow has like an insane amount of wealth that he uses to fund Morbius's science experiments. He also failed law school or something. That's all you get. So when Milo becomes evil Morbius near the end of the movie, oh, come on, don't act like I spoiled something huge. You have never seen this movie, nor have you wanted to before this video came out. So when Milo becomes evil Morbius at the end of this movie, it like makes no sense. I mean, like Milo is seen to be a bit of an arrogant, but like somewhat fun-loving guy. He's like kind of like dickish, but you know, he's like not that insane, you know what I mean? But when he becomes evil Morbius, I shit you not, he literally becomes a psychopathic killer in minutes. Like he goes from, God, I don't want to have this blood disease, I want to be able to walk on my own, to I'm gonna kill a random couple for no reason. He's the greatest villain ever written. Anyways, we get a shot of this nurse getting killed by Morbius, but we don't see who actually does it. So, oh no, I wonder who did it. By the way, we're supposed to care about her because she's the nurse who enabled Morbius to put a girl into a coma. Also, if you wanted proof of how little she contributes to the movie, the Wikipedia page for Morbius, like the plot summary, does not mention her name at all. But it doesn't matter for her, her blood's fully drained, so the detectives are like, oh, this is clearly the work of Michael Morbius. He clearly was the one who escaped the ship. So they stop Morbius before he can leave the lab, which gave me one of the hardest times I've ever laughed in the theater in my entire life. To set up the scene, the detectives are about to put handcuffs on Morbius, and Morbius like bitch punches them. Morbius escapes custody and runs down the thinnest, tiniest hallway ever. And in this thin hallway, he looks left, then right, and then he looks up for half a second, and then all of a sudden he jumps jumps up like Super Mario, and then we learn that this tiny thin hallway has 400 flights of stairs above him, and Morbius is going at like warp speed up there. And then this lone cop who's been behind Morbius this whole time, he has never been seen on camera. This is the first time he appears in the movie. He whips out his gun and starts shooting at him like he got hit with a flashbang. I started laughing so hard in the theater. I was having the time of my life. This chase scene not only starts amazing, but it ends amazing because Morbius gets to the top of the building because of course he was going warp speed and is also teasing the climax of the movie. But somehow one of the other detectives has scaled the building within 15 seconds himself, even though he was at the very bottom of the floor, and takes Morbius into custody. How? Anyways, he's in jail now for one scene, and we find out that Milo has become evil Morbius, and he was the one who killed the nurse. By the way, we're supposed to immediately think that Milo is more evil because he killed someone who we saw in an earlier scene. Even though Morbius is leading the kill count 7-1, it's like not even close. So Milo and Morbius start fighting, and we use this fight scene as a way to boost Milo's kill count. He takes out like 7 police officers in 1 second, which is 500 Pepsi points. Anyways, that doesn't matter though, because I want to bring up the actual best part of this scene. Milo wants Morbius to become a crazy killer like him. It's not explained why. They're like evolved humans or something. I don't know. But Morbius doesn't want to do that, so he escapes via train. And I remember the primal joy I had watching the scene for the first time. Seeing the Get Them Fries gif in IMAX was the most magical experience of my life, and I wish I could go back. Anyways, I'm gonna start summarizing here because Morbius has insanely high highs and insanely forgettable lows.
I just yawned.
Anyways, Morbius gets a new lab, destroys this guy's hand, and he doesn't say the Michael Morbius line he said in the trailer, which made me so mad.
I'm actually so mad.
And the detective sees CCTV footage of Milo killing 3 randos. Yay. Oh, by the way, we get the infamous scene here. In this scene, Milo dances shirtless while the worst song ever made plays. Have fun, have fun. I love how every single movie I cover has like a terrible musical number. Have fun, have fun. And I mean it when this has no relevance to literally anything in the film. Like it just happens and they expect us to forget. Anyways, back to summarizing this dog shit movie. Milo kills the scientist guy from earlier, Nicholas, and Milo basically kills Martine. Oh no. Martine dies and Morbius is pissed and he drinks her blood to have that extra push of substance and health to defeat Milo, which leads to the greatest finale ever put to cinema. This ending sucks so much dog shit poopy ass, it's almost a miracle of cinema. So to kickstart it, Morbius and Milo fall off the roof of the hotel, I think, and this is a masterclass in cinematography and editing, as in a masterclass of don't do this. They fall so far, but you literally cannot make out the distance of how far they've fallen or even where they are. Anyways, when they hit the ground, Morbius lands on a metal bar that's in like some layer that's also in the sewers. It does not matter at all. And Morbius, while he's in bat mode on this bar or whatever, he suddenly screams for like 15 seconds and then falls down and lands headfirst on the concrete. He's okay. So we're building up to some huge fight scene and we keep getting shots of empty tunnels and like a little bit of like rustling in the tunnel systems. And I will spoil that Morbius has summoned bats. And there are quite a few bats. So I want you to think of a number of how many bats you think there are and think of a realistic number. Don't think of like this 100,000 bats nonsense. So like actually come up with a real answer. What's the number you thought of? 1,000 bats? 10,000 bats, hell, even 50,000 bats? Well, guys, if you guessed anything even remotely close to that, I have good news. You are wrong. He actually summoned a more billion amount of bats, and I'm not exaggerating. You literally cannot see Milo or Morbius in some shots because there's that many bats. Look at this shit. I'm not exaggerating. That's so many bats. This leads to one of my favorite facts about my viewing of Morbius. I saw it in an IMAX theater, right? So despite some of the visual effects being bad, it still looked like a well-lit, well-shot movie relatively, and like nothing's going wrong. Like you can see every pixel, every color, it looks good. But one of the funniest pieces of information I have about my viewing, and one that I have not seen many people point out, is that this movie lags during this scene. It lags. Morbius literally lags in IMAX. It drops frames. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, let me explain. You know that phenomenon of when confetti goes off and the quality immediately drops because the bitrate can't compensate for the amount of information and movement happening on screen? Yeah, that fucking happens with this scene.
Like in this scene, when the bats slow down, the quality immediately goes up. And then when the bats go flying, the quality goes down.
You wanna know something hilarious too? That still happens in the Netflix version. Personally, I have a theory that they put 10 more trillion bats in this scene because they were on a time crunch and the CGI must have looked so genuinely awful they needed to obscure it. So yeah, that's my theory, and oh my god, I forgot to pause the movie because Morbius just killed Milo. Oopsie. The ending to Morbius is so abrupt. I don't think you will believe me when I tell you the time it takes to get from Milo dying to the end credits. From Milo dying, a confirmed kill for Morbius, it literally takes less than 1 minute and 36 seconds to get to the title card. 1 minute and 1 minute and 36 seconds after Milo dies, we see Morbius escape the sewer tunnel thing. The detectives look disapprovingly at Morbius. Martine wakes up as a spoopy vampire. Morbius flies towards the camera, and then we see the Morbius title card with the Maroon 5 V branding in the background. Literally none of what I just said was an exaggeration. So that's how Morbius ends, but because it's a Sony movie that's made in association with Marvel, we have 2 mid-credit scenes. And if you thought this movie couldn't be more baffling, you are not a true Morb head. In the first mid-credit scene, Michael Keaton gets transported into an empty jail cell in Morbius's universe, and Michael Keaton's character is Adrian Toomes, who, if you don't know, was the character Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. So he gets released from jail, and that's the first end credit scene. And for the second mid-credit scene, that's also the final one, Morbius is flooring it through a random field Venom style. And yes, I did just make a Venom reference. I can't do that very often. Anyways, Morbius meets up with Vulture, who is now in the Vulture outfit and has the best dialogue ever written.
I'm not sure how I got here. Has to do with Spider-Man, I think.
Morbius is so good, even the mid-credit scene is perfect. In this scene, Vulture suggests that he and Morbius set up a team, obviously hinting at the Sinister Six, which, because this is a Sony movie, and let's just say that does happen, that means Sony's Sinister Six is comprised of Morbius. It's comprised of Morbius, Vulture, and Tom Hardy's Venom. And saying that out loud is the funniest sentence in the entire world. So that's the entirety of Morbius. I hope I can proclaim that I'm the biggest Morb head in the world now because I've seen the movie twice now, which is probably more than the editor has seen it. I've literally never felt more unsure on where to put a movie on my enjoyment scale, but then I thought about it for 10 seconds, and I think I'm gonna go with a B. It's both the most mid movie ever and also the definition of cinema. Do you know what I mean? Also, a fun piece of lore about that is that when I wrote that sentence in Google Docs tried to get me to change most mid to best mid. So Google is a Morb head. And normally I have a greater conclusion. I honestly have none for this movie. This is one of those so bad it's good movies where it is the funniest thing ever, but it is also the most soul-draining, most boring, most generic, most sanitized movie you've ever seen in your entire life. In fact, I would honestly argue that the fact that this film flopped commercially and with audiences added to its infamy. I mean, I still do get a giggle every time I see the Morbius sweep gifs because it reminds me of a time the entire internet came together despite our differences to clown on Jared Leto. Especially the time when we all hyped up this movie so much they put Morbius back in theaters and no one saw it, resulting in making it a bigger box office bomb. Oh. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to help me in my quest to go from underrated to just rated. And don't forget to politely press that like button as it's been obliterated too many times. If you enjoyed this video, I got plenty more that you'll like, so feel free to binge a few. It's gonna be a little bit till the next upload, but I promise it's gonna be worth the wait. So until then, Kevin's in charge. Feel free to let him speak to you.
If Morbius ever became real, I would be so scared, but then I would remember I don't have any blood as I am a chair.